Hello everyone. So we are continuing with elastic pressure transducers. One of the pressure transducer in elastic that is commonly used is called as bellows. Okay. So we will be learning more about the bellows right now. Okay. Now we are learning actually elastic pressure transducer. Okay. These are used for measurement of pressure up to 7,000 megapascal. Okay, always remember they can be used to measure pressure up to 7,000 megapascal. In elastic pressure transducer, we have diaphragms, we have bellows, we have even got this thing. What do we call it as Bourdon tube? Yeah, Bourdon tube also. Okay. So similarly, today what we are going to study is bellows and diaphragm, and then we will continue on to the topic in a more proper way. Okay. So as you can see in the bellows, I'll just give you the construction of the bellows. Okay. What are the things that are there in the bellows? Okay. The bellows has a series of bellow. Okay. More like a belly, you can see. Okay. So it has a series of bellow. If you can see 1, 2, 3. So bellows has a series of bellow. That's why it is called as bellows. A series of bellows which are circular in nature. Okay. Which are circular in nature, are joined together. Okay. Are joined together. And one of the important thing in joining is joined together in such a way, okay, in such a way that they can actually move. Like if the bellows want to expand or contract, okay, they can actually expand and contract easily in an axial direction, okay, in such a way that they can expand or contract axially. Okay, this is very important. If this won't happen, the pressure that will be coming, if you can see, this is the place from where the pressure will be transmitted and it will go to the bellow. Okay, it will hit the bellow. So bellow will automatically, either it will expand or it will contract. If the pressure is more, automatically it will contract. If the pressure is less, it will expand. Okay, so it will actually expand or contract. Okay, now when it expands or contract, how does it function? It is so simple that one of the end of the bellow is connected. If you can see, one of the end of the bellow is connected to a pointer. If you can see, the bellows are connected to the pointer. So whatever is the deflection of the bellow, similarly the pointer will deflect in either of the direction. Okay, it will either move to the bottom or it will move to the top, or you can say left and right with respect to the pointer point. Okay, so automatically if the pointer moves to this point, okay, what will happen, if suppose this is my pointer right now, so automatically whatever is the deflection that we get in the pointer, okay, bellows, the deflection of the bellows or the bellows deflection, okay, is connected to the pointer, okay, which in turn deflects, okay, which itself deflects, okay, due to the application of pressure, okay, due to pressure on the bellows, you can say, right? Okay, keep it as simple as possible. Okay, now the third point that I can tell you, this is the main principle of working. Okay, now the material that is used, it should be very ductile. Okay, okay, very ductile material, and it should have high fatigue resistance. Okay, because this is actually going under cyclic load, right? Because it is trying to move to and fro. So something which is going under cyclic load of moving to and fro, that kind of a material should have high resistance to fatigue failure. Okay, so it should be a very ductile material that we are going to use, and it should have high resistance to fatigue failure. Simple. Okay, simple. Now I'll tell you the materials also. The basic materials that are used is, I'll just list it down wherever there is the space. Okay, brass is used, bronze is used. You can even use copper. Okay, you can even use steel. Okay, you can even use beryllium. There are various materials. Okay, I'm just listing a few. Okay, brass, bronze, copper. You can even list like you can use steel or beryllium, any material. Okay. Now one more advantage of using bellows over the diaphragm, sorry, over that, what was that part? Yeah, Borden tube, is that it will have greater life. Okay, it has greater life and far better accuracy. Just give me a second. Yeah, it has greater life and far better accuracy. Okay, and you can say better accuracy. Simple. Okay, it will have greater life and better accuracy than the Borden tube. Borden tube. So this is the basic definition and explanation of bellows that I can give it to you. Now we will move to another elastic pressure transducer. Now I'll just show you this elastic pressure transducer. I have tried to draw the diagram and I'll be trying to explain how does this diagram actually work. Okay. The second type of electric pressure transducer is actually called as diaphragm. Now the principle of diaphragm is also similar to bellows. Principle is similar to bellows. Now how it is similar, I'll just explain you. This is the top view that you are seeing right now. Okay. Principle of working, one second. Yeah. Okay. One second. Principle of working is similar to bellows. First thing. Okay. Now what happens in this bellows is the pressure. Now if you can see, these are actually two layers. Okay. Here also there are many layers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you can see I have colored it because both the layers, when they are at the same level. Okay. This green indicates both the layers are at the same level. This indicates these are at level 1, like it is having a height of L1. Okay, if you want to see it on this way, you can see that this layers will have a height of L1, and this will be the part which will go inside. Okay, this will be the part, these two layers will be outside, and this two will more be like, you can see like this. Okay, if you want to see, it will be more like this. Okay, so what do you mean? This will be my orange one, this will be my orange one, and this is the part which is shrinking inside. Okay, or which is having low depth. Okay, this will be the part which will have low depth. You can say it in a simple sentence. And this too will have high depth. Okay, now this depth, suppose this is at L1. Similarly, there will be one more depth. Suppose I have taken this two. So this will be at a lower depth and this will be at a higher depth. This will be L2, or it can even be equal to L1. Okay, similarly, this two will be equal to L3, and there will be some low depth area, which will be this one, and this one. Is it okay? Okay. Now what happens if I show you the top view, you can actually understand what I'm trying to explain. Now this is called as flat type. Okay. This is called as flat type. Okay. That you can see right now. What will happen whenever there is a pressure, this will actually corrugate. Okay. This will actually corrugate. Okay. This will actually have a, you can say thrust. Yeah, you can say there will be high depth area and low depth area. Okay, automatically. And this is corrugated type, which is already having a depth. Okay, corrugated type. Now when do we use corrugated type? This will also have some changes. This is the top view that I have tried to draw. Okay, it might not be that much accurate, but you can understand there will be some places where there will be high depth. Okay, high depth, and there will be some places which will have low depth. Now what is the advantage of corrugated? This can sustain higher pressures. Okay, sustain higher pressure values, higher pressure values. Okay, because it is more rigid, as it is more rigid. Simple. Okay, now I'll even list down something. This bellows, sorry, these diagrams are basically used for measurement of low pressure. Always remember. Okay, very low pressure, or you can even say vacuum pressure. Very low or vacuum pressure. Okay, simple. Keep it as simple as possible. Okay, so I hope I understood you, made you understand the types also. So there are two types, one is flat and one is corrugated type. Okay, always remember corrugated will have different types of depth. Okay, in a single, you can say in a single diagram, and flat type will only have a diagram which will change to corrugated type with the same level of depth. Okay, simple. Then now it can also be this way, huh? It can also be this way. Okay, this way, because I told you this is at higher depth and this is at higher depth and this one is at lower depth. So this will be having a change in depth. Okay, but when it corrugates, automatically the depth will be uniform. Okay, because the pressure taken by all the layers will be equal. Okay, corrugated depth will also be uniform here. Okay, whatever is the depth after the application of pressure, you can't say corrugated if you don't want to say. You can say depth after application of pressure. Okay, after pressure application will be uniform. Okay, keep it simple. Now we will move to another type of elastic pressure transducer, which is called as, okay, piezoelectric pressure sensor. Now I'll explain you in simple terms what we mean by piezoelectric pressure sensor. We have already done this kind of thing, but I'll again explain you. I'll just list down what is the working principle of piezoelectric pressure sensor. Simple. Whenever, if you can see, okay, okay, an EMF is produced. If you can see, there will be an output voltage. Whenever there is an application of force, there will be some kind of an EMF induced into this electrode, which will have a quartz crystal in between. Okay, and there will be a mass. Okay, you are trying to displace the mass, automatically this quartz crystal will have some deflection also, and this deflection will be converted into voltage. So due to application of force, okay, due to force application, what will happen is there will be an EMF induced EMF. Okay, okay. Now if you can understand, whenever there is force, we know that force is proportional to pressure, right? So instead of applying force, we can even apply some kind of gas pressure or any liquid pressure, okay, to the base. Okay, and this will be calibrated, since force is getting calibrated to the output voltage, which is nothing but an EMF. Okay, so automatically pressure will also be calibrated to, pressure will be calibrated to what you can say, to the EMF induced. Okay, EMF will lead to, or you can say pressure will lead to EMF induced, will lead to, that will be a better word, will lead to, application of pressure will lead to EMF induced, which will be calibrated in terms of pressure. Okay, which will be calibrated in pressure, in terms of pressure. Okay, simple. Now that means that EMF induced is an indication of the pressure applied, in simple terms. You can write it if you want to write. That means EMF induced is an application of pressure applied. Applied pressure. Okay. Now, which is the crystal that we used for automatic EMF generation? The crystal uses quartz crystal. Okay. Quartz crystal is used as a piezoelectric crystal. Now I'll explain you what do you mean by piezoelectric. Piezo means self-generation. Okay. So I'll just explain you what do you mean by piezo. Piezo means self, okay, electric generation crystal. Okay. Simple. Self-electric crystal which can generate electricity. Okay, or you can say voltage. Okay. Now there are also what you can say is in simple terms, I like to give you some more basic things about it, like where it is used, what are the applications of this kind of piezoelectric pressure sensor. Okay, I've already explained you many of the things of this system when we were doing displacement, but I'll still take some time to explain you more things about it, like what are the advantages and disadvantages. I'll just write it here. Advantage, one of the advantages, okay, it is only used, actually it is used for dynamic measurement where there is a strong change in pressure, where there is, where there is, you can say, strong change in pressure or dynamic change in pressure. This is the point where we can use piezoelectric crystal. One more thing, advantages, these are self-generating type. Active transducers, if you remember, active is who can generate the signal without any external power source. So these are self-generating type because they do not require any power source. There's no power source required. Okay. Now, I'll also say something about disadvantage. One of the disadvantages, since these are used for dynamic pressure measurement, correct? These are used for dynamic measurement of pressure. Okay, they cannot be actually used for static. Okay, cannot be used for static pressure measurement. Okay, cannot be used for, cannot be used for, I'll write it, used for static pressure measurement. Okay, if I can simplify the things for you. Okay. Now, what is the range? I'll just write the range also for you. What is the range? It can measure from 0 to 20 mega Newton. Okay, simple, per meter square pressure. And it can work in the range of minus 40 degrees Celsius. I'm just giving you an approximation to 150 degrees Celsius. It can work in that range. Okay. So I think this is all the types of piezoelectric crystal that we wanted to study. Sorry, this is all the types of elastic pressure transducer where we studied piezoelectric pressure sensor, where we also studied what do you mean by bellows and what do you mean by diaphragm and how do they actually work. Okay, simple. In dynamic, in that diagram also, this will be actually linked to some kind of a scale. One second. This will be linked to or connected to some kind of a scale. Where is that bellows? Yeah. These things will also be calibrated with a scale. Okay. This will be actually fixed to a scale. Okay. And you can actually measure whatever is the change that is in. Okay. That is also there. You don't have to worry about it. Okay. Thank you.